What's up, everybody? Jeff C here, doing another walking book review. Why am I walking? Well, because I need the exercise. It's a good thing to do. And I enjoyed this book, so I want to tell you about it. Today I'm gonna talk about a book I just finished that it's kind of falls between like a parable, maybe like a personal reckoning type story. I think that if you read this story, something will 100% linger with you. Either it'll be the story, maybe the sentiment, or like the soul-searching type factor of this novel. The story I'm talking about is The 5 People You Meet in Heaven by Mitch Albom. This is my third book by Mitch. I'm a very big fan of his writing. The first story I ever read of his was For One More Day. And then I read Tuesdays with Morrie, which of course is probably his most well-known work. And then here we are with The 5 People You Meet in Heaven. Probably would put that between those two as far as if I had to rank them. I really was a fan of For One More Day. I feel like it's probably, a little more sentimental for me as far as the whole plot of that story. A little bit about Mitch Albom as a writer. He started in sports writing, which is kind of unusual now, considering that he's really known for like emotionally resonant fiction. So it's kind of a stark contrast, I would say. His style is deceptively simple. It's clean prose, there's short chapters. It's emotionally charged, but it's not really like overwrought, Imagine like if you were just having a conversation with somebody over coffee, but you're really like discussing like the serious stuff, life, death, sorrow, any of that stuff. What is your definition of success? That type of topic. While you're just, but you're still just kind of, you're amongst people. It's not like you're having like a super crazy deep. I had an image. I was like, it's kind of like if you see a puddle in a parking lot and you go to step in it and then like you end up falling all the way down to your knee. You're like, oh, Jesus Christ, this is small but deep. It's definitely his writing style in general for all of his works. However, it is really on display in this work. It's sparse, it's direct, almost childlike at times, yet deep. It's rich, it's meaningful. I really feel that one of Albom's gifts is making really big ideas approachable. And sometimes you don't even like really realize it's happening until it's already over. You're just like, oh, and just, I love that type of stuff. They say the off subject, of course, but they say one of the things a good coach can do is trick you into doing something you never thought you could do. And so I kind of feel a similarity between that and you read Mitch Albom's writing and you're like, oh, I wouldn't have necessarily thought about something like that. So again, it's like after the fact, you're like, oh, wow. Later on in this video, if you'll stick around towards the end, I want to talk about one thing that happens in the book without giving too much away. I want to discuss one of the people that Eddie meets in heaven, the first guy. And so stick around to the end of the video if spoilers isn't too big of a thing for you, or if you've read it, definitely if you've read it. I want to get your opinion on what I'm about to, it's something about I just got a little question with the first person he meets in heaven, and it's like, I don't know, maybe a little critique either from a logical or maybe philosophical perspective. I'm just like, it made my ears stand up a little bit. So I'll save that for the end of the video. Again, I don't want to do too much spoiling. But if you have read, or if you're just curious, please let me know what your thoughts are down in the comments once I present my case. So basically, this book, The 5 People You Meet in Heaven, is about a man named Eddie. He is an elderly man who is an amusement park maintenance man. And, you know, long story short, he dies in an accident at the amusement park while trying to save a little girl. This happens at the very beginning of the book. And then next thing you know, he finds himself in heaven. And he's going to meet a few folks, 5 to be specific. And these are people that in one way or another he interacted with throughout his life. And they all have little lessons to teach him. I did like this approach. I guess it's a new approach to what can happen when you die. You know, we kind of have the normal story of showing up at the pearly gates with St. Peter and all that, and you have the Valhalla legend where the gates of Valhalla are opened for you by someone you killed in battle. So in this little narrative, you are presented with some folks that you dealt with, and you know, they're going to talk to you about the interaction, or maybe it was one interaction, or maybe it was a bunch. Now, not sure why that would be the way it is, but hey, it's interesting nonetheless. Overall, I really did enjoy this story. I gave it a 4.25 on Fable, 4.0 on Goodreads. Feel free to follow me on there. I'd love to talk to you about these books, and I got some pretty big reading plans coming up on my TBR, so I'd love to be able to talk with you guys about this stuff there. Also, you might notice on my channel I have I'm doing some weight loss stuff, and so that's what kind of why I'm combining these two things of getting my walk in, and while I'm out here, talk to you guys about a book I finished. So, and I'm a fairly avid reader, so this will be a regular occurrence on the channel. So I'd love to have you around. Please like, subscribe, and I do want to talk about the little conundrum I had with one of the characters. So if, you know, basically, yes, the book was awesome. Please read it. Please read anything. I do want to address the first person that Eddie met when he was in heaven, which is the blue-skinned man. I don't remember off the top of my head if he had a name or not, but is that a zip wheel? Awesome. Blue-skinned man, you know, and their interaction happened when Eddie was a very small child. Basically what happens, if you've read the story or not, is Eddie's playing ball with his friends. The ball goes in the street. He runs out, grabs the ball. A car swerves, misses him. Eddie goes on living his life. The blue-skinned man was driving the car. Now apparently, what happened is the blue-skinned man swerves, misses Eddie, is so kind of about the whole situation that it makes his heart go weak, and he ends up crashing and dying, having a heart attack after a kid ran into the street. Now, I don't know about y'all, but I've dodged a lot of crap in the roads, balls and kids and whatever, animals. And the worst it did is make me say, damn, or maybe give me a little story to tell some people, but it never gave me a heart attack. But when Eddie's in heaven, he asked the guy, like, what killed you? And the guy's like, you did. I mean, look, bro, I ain't sorry, but that wasn't me. You know, that's what I felt like Eddie should have said. But, you know, so the question is, like, you know, this guy shows up to that interaction with a bum heart, you know, and it's like, okay, so, but then you got to consider Eddie. Like, Eddie's distraught. I mean, he just died. So obviously he's disoriented, he's grieving, and he's like, he's not going to think like, bro, I was 7. Like, seriously? You know, he's just, oh, I mean, and who knows? So that's the thing I'm wondering, and what I'm questioning is, one, was this a fault of Album as a writer? Or did Album realize the fault, but he wanted to possibly present like, well, even in heaven, you can have a flawed logic. I don't know. You know, should Eddie have defended himself? Was that the point? Was to maybe for Eddie to realize that, hey, we carry our flawed logic even into the afterlife? I don't know. I'm glad that made me really wonder about that. You know, and I think that's kind of the job of a good story, right? Is to make you question it sometimes. Maybe not. There definitely works out there that, no, it's just a good time. You just read it and, yeah, that's what happened. The butler did it. Awesome. Whatever the situation is. But, yeah, when I got to that, I was like, man, this dude's really just trying to tell Eddie he killed him. And it's like, nah, bro. He did not. So anyway, that's kind of my thing I'm kind of wondering about, is like, I don't know if I would put that 100% on Eddie. I don't know. Anyway, so that is The 5 People You Meet in Heaven, Mitch Albom. Nice book. Let me know if you've read it. Let me know if you plan to read it or what else you plan to read. Please, again, like, subscribe. Put down in the comments what you thought about it, and I will talk to you guys soon. Thank you, and peace.